Hey Tiger Nation, Miles Thomas. I am here with my good friend Dickie Brennan. We wish you all could be here for the Sugar Bowl, but because you can't, what we were hoping to do is give you all a good example, best example, of how to cook a good gumbo. Dickie's going to show us how to do that, so that when y'all are watching the game at home, you can have a little bit of New Orleans with you. So without further ado, I'm going to let Dickie show us how to cook a gumbo.
We're going to give a little flavor of New Orleans.
A little flavor.
Absolutely, man. We are so sorry that y'all aren't going to be with us, but we'll take care of that in the near future, I hope. So what we're talking about doing, this time of year, we love to do our hunting, and just like you guys do in South Carolina. And so we have some duck, we have some geese, goose. I went to LSU. Is it geese or goose?
It's geeses.
We have geeses? Man, okay,
Right, okay.
we're on the same. So, and some andouille sausage, and that's our great Cajun sausage that, and it really has some influences of German, which is Creole, so that's the beauty of Louisiana's food. It's such a combination of so many different heritages and cultures and stuff. So I mean, we refer to it as a gumbo.
But tell me this,
make a gumbo.
for people that don't have duck or geese, or even andouille, they could do this same recipe with chicken.
One of our
and
more
whatever sausage you
popular
find.
gumbos is called chicken yaya.
Okay.
And that's where we smoke chicken and we do andouille sausage.
Nice.
And it's this style of gumbo, but instead of a wild duck, it's using chicken. So it's real easy. Anybody can make this gumbo. And gumbo, the recipe's there as a roadmap, but we like the adventure. So who knows? I'll make this tomorrow. It'll be different than what I made it today.
Right.
I mean, I'm not one of these
Maybe try to write it down.
where I
maybe.
do the recipe. I mean, I might find something I'm putting that in there.
There you go.
So one of the keys is a stock. This is a duck stock, and this is a pretty intense duck stock. You see the color on it.
Very good.
So in order, for us to do that, basically we do is, this is a mallard. You can see my dad used to tell me to aim for the head because he didn't want to eat the BBs.
Right.
But
Yes.
obviously, so we're just what we want to do is take the breast off. I'm going to show you this real quick. And I'm going to take off the joints, which is the leg and the thigh. Definitely a thigh guy. So we're going to take that off. We're going to take off the breast. As you can see, we're coming down to this carcass, because the carcass is what we're going to use to make that stock. And once we get this meat off, we're going to take this carcass, put it in a roasting pan, and we want to brown it, because that's part of what gives it the color.
Okay.
All right, and then we're going to do some editing when you guys get this footage back, huh?
Right.
All right, so here, let me take the last one. All right, so we got some meat on and everything. This is going in a roasting pan, and we put trimmed, but we also put carrots. So you want to put some bell pepper, some celery, some onions with this carcass in a roasting pan, and you put it in a very hot oven. And all of the things, it starts to caramelize the vegetables. This gets really dark. A lot of flavors are coming out. And you take that out of the oven, you put it in a big stock pot like this, and you cover it with cold water. And we season it with a little bay leaf and maybe some black peppercorns.
Okay.
And you let that roll, and it'll keep rolling down, and it'll go from being this water to this.
Gotcha.
And so that's the body of any kind of a sauce, anything is having a good stock. So if you're hunting and you have too many people throw these in the garbage can.
Right.
This is gold, you know, so that's,
But again, if somebody doesn't have a duck, like how can they?
so
you substitute
in
for
the
a good
stores,
stock?
you see
Use
all
bouillon?
these stocks, and,
Yeah.
you know, there's so much stuff in the grocery stores, you know, but, you know, we're meant to make a gumbo. I mean, this isn't rocket science. This is just
Shoot
a
it down.
commitment to, let me put another 20 minutes into this. I'm gonna
You
do
do it.
this, put it in the oven, and,
Yeah.
you know, as I'm doing everything else, it's just gonna keep, you know, you smell it, and you can, you know, you're adding things to it. You know, as you're butchering the ducks, you're putting more things into your stock, and it's just a beautiful way to cook. It's like, you know, poetry. It's like, you know, writing a beautiful song. I mean, I'm getting really wacky right now.
I love that. Like we're old friends, and I'm not good at videos, so like I'm not sure what to do with my
Hang with
hands.
me.
Okay.
So,
Stand with
and then, you know, so duck, and then we're doing andouille sausage. So this is some of the sausage. It's a smoked sausage, and it's got a lot of the seasonings that are typical of, you know, what we do Creole and Cajun. So
And it adds extra flavor, for sure. But if you're in wherever America, you can use any form of sausage.
any smoked sausage, you know. So it's a cured sausage. I mean,
Gotcha.
it's not raw sausage. You can eat it, or you can cook it. So that's that.
All right.
All right, so we talked about duck, talked about this stock. We got to make a roux. So,
Okay.
I mean, let's get the roux going. And I'm going to put a little bit of oil in this pan. Got my cast iron pot here. All right. Guys, you know, it's all about your pots and pans. So, I mean, I've got these copper pots that I kind of found when I was working in Europe as a youngster.
Young buck?
And carried them home on a plane. But Louisiana, it's about cast iron. Geez, you gotta have your cast iron pots. I got so many under here.
Well,
But I don't know why this Magnolite, it's been around for a long time. If I'm making a gumbo, I'm using a combination of cast iron, but this is Bertha, and
Bertha.
I can make a good sized gumbo in Bertha, and for whatever reason, I don't know, I love my Magnolites. All right, so we're gonna put a little oil in. Really, you want the pan to get hot. Can't get too hot. We're gonna speed it up. I'd even let it get hotter. I mean, it's not hot yet. So I'm gonna put a little bit of oil in here, and you know, pretty much it's half
Facts.
oil and half, whatever amount of oil you put in, you put the same amount of flour. Okay, so we're talking roux. Got it. Vegetable oil, whatever. I grab some peanut oil. I don't know, just kind of thinking about that. Got all-purpose flour. Got my good old cast iron pot. Peanut oil's been in there. Hope it's been getting a little bit, getting hot. And it can get a lot hotter than that. All right, so
So how much flour do you know? I mean, are you just doing it by?
I do it by, I mean, I look at it, you know, but I'm trying to, typically you want to do equal amounts of oil and flour.
Okay.
And I'm working in because I don't want lumps. So, you know, and people always talk about it. This oil's hot. The flour's, if you're doing what I'm doing, it's not going to lump. And then I'm going to add a little bit more. Don't want to add it all at one time.
Right. Because you get bread.
Well, then
rolls.
you get the lumps.
Right.
So I don't want it too oily, you know. And then I want to form a nice consistency without it being too loose.
So my hope is that we'll have a recipe that Clemson fans can make,
We're gonna give a
eat
recipe.
while they watch Clemson beat Ohio State. So should they make this the day before and let it sit?
You know,
Is that so talk to me about
So,
what your
like-
thought on that is.
so like turtle soup, which is like a classic soup in
Right.
New Orleans. If you make it that day and you try to serve it that night, that shift, it just is missing something.
Right.
So Gumbo same way with soups. I tell everybody, make it ahead.
Make it
Let it sit overnight in the fridge. It blossoms.
Right.
And it's going to have so much more flavor the next day. And there are other, it's like you cook a great pot of green beans or something, stew them down. Or you heat them back up the next day. I mean, it's just more intense.
Gotcha.
So we call it blossoming. And
all right, so Tiger fans, make this the day before, and then heat it up.
you can
We'll show
definitely
you how to
do
make
it
some
ahead.
good rice, and this will be what we'll do for kickoff.
Yeah, you will. But my goal is I want y'all to see this, how I'm doing it. We're going to give you exact measurements and stuff like that. I would never tell you to do it in field. But what's most important is seeing it and kind of me doing a good job of saying why I'm doing what I'm doing. And my goal is to get a consistency that's not going to be a lot of oil separation. Like you end up having that soup and get that oil floating on the top. So what we're trying to do is get this roux to have a good thickness without too much separation of the oil. And I'm going to do a little more, huh? So I think I have a lot more than 50-50.
You think?
I do that. I don't know why, but, and then, when I was growing up as a kid, the chef at my dad's restaurant was Paul Prudhomme at Commander's Palace, and Paul was just a great Cajun chef. So taught me a lot that I value today. But another young guy, a guy that he was young in the kitchen when I was real young, was Frank Brightson. And so years ago, I'd say Paul Prudhomme would be the godfather of Louisiana cooking, during my lifetime. He passed away, rest in peace. But today I'd say it's Frank Brightson. I mean, Frank is admired and looked upon by everybody around here as our leader. And I love what Frank said, because he likes to make the roux like I'm going to do. And what you end up doing is, instead of putting the vegetables in the roux, we're gonna let this get real nice and chocolatey dark. We're gonna put it on the side. None of the vegetables are gonna come in here.
Okay.
So two things are gonna happen. When you put it on the side after you get it dark, it'll continue to get darker, more intense. Just let it sit. The other thing is a layer of oil will go on the top. It'll separate. It's too much. So instead of that oil going into your roux, we can soup it off, and believe me, it's great oil to use for something else. But it's just a great technique. And the other thing is it enables you to cook your vegetables. If you put the vegetables in here, it just kind of steams them. If you put them into this pot that we're going to do, it's going to really brown them, caramelize them, and it's all about building layers of flavors. Gotcha. Is what we're trying to create. And that's where, you talk to anybody who's passionate about making a gumbo, they all have their different techniques, and this little tip, or try this, whatever. So I love what Frank did with not putting the vegetables into the roux and doing it separate. So we'll see.
When you were adding flour to the roux, how did you decide how much flour? What were you looking at to decide how much flour?
Well, I'm looking at consistency, and if anything, I'd almost like to put a little bit more,
Hey, I can be of help.
Come on. All right, that's good.
I help.
You did. I'm glad you asked that.
Right? Yeah.
And, this is, I think,
That's
if you don't have
the
enough flour, it's going to be hard for it to become that thickness that we want to get. But you see how this, and it's okay to add the flour after you've started. I mean, the flour isn't turning yet. It's not becoming brown. This is a slow process. We're going to get some of these, it's hot enough, we're going to get these lumps out. Then I'm gonna let it sit a little bit without it scorching on the bottom, because that's gonna enable it to start browning a little bit quicker.
The big thing is you don't want to add a bunch of flour too quick because you'll get lumps, like dough balls in there, right?
Right.
So you want to slowly add the flour and get it up to a gravy. For those of us from South Carolina, like a gravy-ish. Is that offensive? I just saw your face.
Brother man, I like it.
It starts to look like a gravy. Sorry, I'm still from Greer. So it starts looks like a little bit of gravy, but it darkens up, right?
So
Do I have to leave?
we're gonna let the gravy sit for a minute.
It's roux. I get it. It's
We're gonna let
roux.
the gravy sit for a minute because I want to let it get some stuff going on the bottom of that pan.
Okay.
All right, and then we're gonna let's get started with the we're gonna build all the.
Do you leave that one high or do you go low?
No, we want hot.
I leave it hot. But you gotta keep an eye on it, right? You gotta keep whisking it, or
So at this point, I'm not gonna whisk. I'm gonna start doing this, and I'm gonna, because I can see a little bit down there. Yeah, I can see the bottom. And I'm not pulling. This is your.
Yeah, I was about to say I can finally do something. But now if I mess it up,
You know, and every pot's gonna have like a little, it's gonna have a hot spot, so you'll eventually gonna find that as you're working through this, which will be interesting, because as you figure out where that is, then we don't want it to scorch. All right,
we're
you see?
starting to see.
All right, you're getting there. So I would
like
say that
eggs.
came from over here, huh?
Yeah,
A little hot spot there.
I'm making.
And then you'll keep doing it in different parts of the pan, and you're not gonna be pulling up as brown, as cooked. All right, you seeing it?
Yeah.
So the goal is we don't want
Here's your hot
it
spots on this
to
back.
stick. And let's move it back a little bit, and we'll get more of the pan hot. But so we're gonna
This
keep
is a lot
it
of
going.
pressure.
Just if you let it scorch,
Right?
we're gonna have a real big issue.
I can tell. I don't know why I signed up for this. I would
So,
rather
just-
not like, can I get out of it?
Just don't miss it. You know, you're gonna hit this area hot because it's your. But you want to get everything. There you go. And work the little corners. Perfect.
Yes, sir.
All right. So
I can't talk. I gotta focus on. So, you were saying.
what's wrong with my stove?
Feel better.
All right. There we go. Good.
Time we blew up on the. Why don't you turn it down?
All right. All right. Got this going. All right. So we're going next stage. We got a roux working.
Ish.
All right, all right, so we had andouille. What I like to do is, I want the andouille because it has great fat and great flavor. So, and I went ahead and did some of this to speed up the process, but I kept a little bit to demo the side. So I'm taking just the fresh andouille, I'm putting it in this pan. And here, I just wanted to show you some of these links. So it's smoked. It's a smoke that's, they hang them. It's a smoked sausage. That's key. So I gave you my favorite.
Oh, don't try and act like now that I stole your
All right,
favorite.
so what I'm trying to do here is I want to cook the andouille for a couple reasons. One is it's going to create the oil that's in here right now.
Okay.
So start your pan off. You might put a little bit of oil with your sausage, but you really don't have to. You just want to work it around. And so as it's getting hot and this wonderful sausages and it's browning, it's going to put this wonderful stuff on the bottom of the pan. So like I said before, what we're trying to do is build layers of flavor. So all this that's in here is from all this other andouille. Let me grab that. This is what was in here before. And so I went ahead, like I said, to speed up the process a little bit. So I put all the sausage in here. We sauteed it, got it real nice and brown. Then I took it out I had all this wonderful oil, and instead of adding more vegetable oil or something like that, I had the oil from the sausage, and I took the vegetables. Could you pass me the one in the front?
So
explain
here's what that is.
and
It's like the Holy
pass me
Trinity.
that one too.
Explain what the Holy Trinity is.
So
It was new to me.
what we're doing is, thank you for pointing that out. All right, so this is what we call the Holy Trinity. As you can see here, maybe not, but we have the, you can grab one. So we have a bell pepper, green bell pepper, celery, onion. That is the Trinity. In the gumbo, this gumbo, I have some garlic, and the carrot is something that I put in the stock. So when we're doing the roasting the carcass and adding the vegetables, those would be the vegetables that I put in the stock. Bell pepper, celery, and onions with the carrot. All right, so do the sausage, remove it. I'm gonna leave that there because it keeps cooking. I'm gonna put in the Trinity, these veggies, and we're just gonna let them cook down. And you see the color on this? I mean, these are brown. If I put it in the roux, you know, it's just, it wouldn't have the intensity of what we're creating in this pot right now. So, all right, so we get the concept here. You would take 10, 15 minutes to cook, maybe, let's say 10 minutes on the sausage and another 10 minutes on the vegetables. I'm putting them all back in because we're there, all right? So I'm put the sausage in there. Look at that great oil. So that's what's in this pan. Then and I have right here 2 little bay leaves. I want to put bay in the gumbo. So get a little bay leaf. It's going to go in there with this, right? All right. Check that out, man.
That's amazing.
So that's about 15, 20 minutes of love right there that we did earlier. We're going to bring it back a little bit. All right, and like I said, see all this stuff on the bottom here?
Yeah.
When we get some liquid in here, that's coming off the bottom. And that's brown, it's not black. You don't want, if it's scorched, it gets very bitter. This is gold, which is in here, and we'll keep working it off, scraping it with some liquid here in a second.
How would you do this if you didn't have another set of hands?
Well, it'd probably take me 3 hours to make this gumbo that we're going to make in 45 minutes.
So you do this in advance.
I'd do that first.
Okay.
Then I'd start this.
Okay.
So that's going to continue to kind of do its thing that we'll put on the side. Then we'll cook the rice while this is simmering, and then it's ready to roll. Okay. Ready to eat once the rice is cooked. All right. So there's a couple of things with gumbo. Some people will use filet powder as a thickening and a flavoring agent.
I might be really dumb. What is filet powder?
All right, so that's from the sassafras, and it's something that the American Indian, you know, the local Indians, it was one of their ingredients that they introduced to this Cajun Creole cooking. The other is okra. So, and you kind of use either or. You don't use both. Okay. So I have some okra.
Right. Just the sticky consistency.
Just to get a little more of that, you know.
Right.
You know, I want to show you something else. You're on this. When Paul Prudhomme would make a roux, he would season it. It's the only guy I've ever seen do it, and I always forget to do it. But this is our Creole seasoning blend. You know, it's the one we've used in our family forever. Paul's is magic, Creole magic.
Right.
Emerald's is bam. So this is what we've been doing. It's a couple of peppers. You have cayenne pepper, not a lot. The redness comes from paprika, so it's not like it's a very hot season. This is a very balanced seasoning. It has garlic, onion, red pepper, black pepper, garlic, and salt. Okay. So I'm going to give you a little bit because Paul's philosophy was everything should be seasoned. if you don't add salt, to to your proteins or to, that's what it's going to really just kind of
Not to get in.
leave it bland. So he would do it in every, not many people season a roux, but
So I haven't heard anybody seasoning a roux, but I have heard about color being the trick,
you're getting there.
right? Okay.
You're getting there. Certainly good.
What color are we looking for? It's like
Chocolate.
chocolate. You go that dark?
Yeah.
Not caramel?
And it's going to get a lot darker once
Are you a caramel
Put it on
versus
the side.
caramel person, or
we're going to go for
going with chocolate? Still with chocolate.
more than caramel.
Okay.
Okay. So I add a little season, getting this nice and hot, because, all right, and this is, I mean, my family's Irish. It makes no sense that we run French restaurants,
Right.
but I spent some time in France, so I don't know, I'm big into deglazing with wine, so you won't see that many gumbos, but
White wine, not red.
for this, I wanted to do a little white wine. It's just going to add a little sweetness. And what it's going to do is, instead of me putting the stock in to scrape the bottom and put all that wonderful stuff on the bottom, I'm going to let this wine help me do it. It's just another layer of flavoring. Not to make it sweet, but it's introducing some sweetness without like adding sugar or something. See how it's coming off there?
Beautiful.
All that stuff is getting mixed in with these veggies. Oh, that's the best part right there. How's your roux?
I fair to middling. I'm trying. But what I'm thinking is, I need to show you shrimp and grits the way we do it in South Carolina.
With gravy?
With gravy. What do you call gravy here?
I don't know. I thought that was.
It comes with its own sauce.
All right, I'm gonna put the okra in now.
Do it.
And that mixed in a little bit. That wine's already been evaporated.
And would you ever leave this alone and not stir it? I mean, that the whole thing, you gotta stir it constantly.
This?
Yeah.
Yeah, I let it go and then I
Really?
blow up on it real quick to keep from scorching. But I like the way you
Scares me.
just kind of,
Maybe because you tasked me with it. Makes me like,
you know.
I feel like I'm important.
you know,
I am important.
Say
Stop.
I'm gonna put a little bit of fresh thyme in here right now.
There you go.
This could be the flavor in this, the predominant herb.
So I know a lot of people have been to your restaurants, but tell us, one, what are your restaurants currently in New Orleans, and two, what you've been dealing with COVID?
Man, you know, shoot, I guess going back over 30 years, I've been blessed. We opened Palace about 30 years ago. Palace Cafe, that's on Canal Street, and it's a wonderful New Orleans. Everything is seasonal. We've got some, at this point, we have some great classic dishes. The crab meat cheesecake is one of our classic dishes. Catfish pecan, we get our catfish comes from Des Allemands, which is the greatest catfish, wild catfish in Louisiana, not pond raised. You know, so 30 years there, it's a nice, very casual, good quality, upscale food. Then we have Dickie Brennan Steakhouse.
Which, by the way, I went for my annual steak dinner with my friend Steve Wilshire this year. So I've been doing that for 10 years. I've been going for. I love that place.
New Orleans being I mean, we have the great seafood and all that stuff, but
Thank you.
we're definitely
I feel like
we're a steak town. I mean, we're the home of Chris Steakhouse. I mean, New Orleanians love eating a great steak, so I've enjoyed the steakhouse. People always ask me, what's my favorite restaurant? I'm like, it's like my children. I mean, how do you pick a favorite child?
Yeah, what's
All right,
that?
I'm gonna put we're ready for the
All right, we're going.
stock, so I'm gonna get the stock working in here now.
So how much?
We're gonna take care of some neighbors maybe, so let's just do it all. Around that,
I love where your head's at.
it was, 4 quarts.
So I will
Look
say,
how rich it is.
when I've been making roux, and I might be just, tell me if I'm insecting you, you're gonna tell me I'm crazy. It starts to smell like popcorn when I feel like it's ready.
Yeah, well.
Is
I
that
mean,
a weird?
absolutely, no, we're looking for something very nutty, and that's the nutty flavor that's gonna really get into this gumbo that's so important to the roux, and that's why it makes, a gumbo different than a stew or a soup. I mean, it's that flavoring that you get from that flour. So, you're killing it, man. All right, so we want to bring this up to a simmer. This, I have, we said duck and goose. So I seared this. That's a goose breast. And then here, now this is the smallest of the ducks. This is teal, which is my favorite. But there's, so we have goose, we have teal, and we have andouille. So I'm going strong. This is
ducks and
andouille that,
geese that you shot?
yes.
Where?
We were actually in Idaho. So,
Are you sure
Had
you
an
shot them, or
opportunity.
somebody else shot them and you claimed them, or?
yeah,
I'm generally accused of shooting near ducks. I'm just curious. If it's just
I
me.
love hunting with my son and my nephews and my
Right.
nieces. I mean, at this point, I'm there. I get more enjoyment watching them.
Right.
Now,
So one
one
of my
of the things is when they shoot and they miss, and you're very polite
that.
to let them take a shot, and
Right.
then you very patiently
I got that duck.
knock down the duck when they missed.
Right.
That's kind of what older people, wise people, have figured out to do. So,
So one of my favorite things was this Christmas being able to send you a picture of my daughter with her first shotgun. Right.
So proud of that.
Yeah, it's a big part of the South, definitely part of South Louisiana, is hunting birds. And so
Beautiful.
when you bring them home, put them into gumbos, right?
You know, I mean, this world we're living in, everybody, it's equality and all this. I mean, hunting is not for men only. It's a very natural thing. I describe all the time. I mean, when people go, "God, you hunt," and I'm like, "Well, I do." And I sit there and it's duck hunting season, and I'll start to get my clothes and stuff, a day or so out, and the dog, the Labrador Retriever, all of a sudden is a different person.
Right.
Can smell
It's the time of year.
you load in your car. You get in your car, you go down, it's early in the morning, you go out, it's beautiful, it's before the sun rises. I mean, you're really connected with nature. You take a pirogue, whatever it is, you finally get to your pond, you put out some decoys. That dog, again, is just all excited. You finally get into your blind, the sun's coming up, some ducks come in, you take a shot, you miss, and that dog goes,
Jerk. Right, like blames it on you. I've had that look. But back up,
And,
what's a pirogue?
pirogue is, a canoe that we use. It's a flat bottom to get you through these ponds that don't have a lot of water.
It's the things I had to learn when I moved down here. People would say words, and I'm like, I'm gonna need to Google
What's
this.
a pirogue?
Right.
So it's our canoe. But the sun comes up, you're shooting these ducks, and then you watch this beautiful animal go and retrieve a duck. I mean, it's their natural instinct.
The dogs are
We
one of
don't
my favorite
want to
parts.
leave a bird that you shot. You bring them back, you go back home, you make a gumbo, you knock on your neighbor's door, you share with them the food. I mean, we don't waste a thing. It's been around forever. If you do it in a respectful way, I think it's something I've enjoyed passing on to my kids, and really appreciate what they're going to eat, because they went and harvested,
Right.
and it doesn't just drop in your plate. There's
Right.
a lot that goes on in everything in life, and I think the more you can expose people to nature and what's all about, the more better.
Right.
So, we have a rich tradition here in Louisiana, duck hunting, and I think it's a great thing.
I've been very blessed to be able to get my kids involved in that. And
You know, my daughter,
they're
I
excited.
mean, she loves the fact that she doesn't do a lot of hunting right now, but she loves the fact that she grew up hunting and
Right. One of the memories that I have,
Exactly.
like
Well-
already, of me and Sophie and Jackson in a blind or in a deer
Right.
stand.
totally.
Some of my favorite memories.
It's mine, me too.
Right? And then being able to come home and cook and show them, like, this is the birds we shot, or this is the deer that we shot, and this is how we're now making it into a
And
meal.
the neighbors
and
gonna
we're eating.
teach you their tricks and
Right? Right?
very sharing, giving, interactive,
Absolutely.
learning. So we're getting good here.
As long as I didn't mess it up. That's all I wanted to
Not
know.
at all.
Like,
Beautifully.
there's a lot of pressure on me.
And then what we're gonna do is.
So everybody knows I made a roof for Dickie Brennan. I just want that to be like,
Man, he's doing
I made a
You're
roof for
doing
Dickie
great.
Brennan.
No, come on, man, that's so big.
I think I'm done.
One thing we haven't been tasting.
So tell me this then. Clemson coming into town, playing Ohio State. It is another outcome of COVID that like nobody can come down here. It breaks my heart.
Yeah.
They can't be here. What's your call on the game? Remember the pin I put on you.
You saying the call? Oh, I mean.
So right now Clemson is
Look.
favored by 7.5. Do you
You
think?
know, after last year, I mean, Clemson's really due for a comeback.
That was an LSU jab.
And
Somebody knows LSU.
y'all have a beautiful program, love it, but we had our dream season last year, and y'all were part of helping us have that dream season. So I'm very appreciative. For me, it's definitely
I'm like, I'll take this.
Go
I think
Clemson.
I'll take this.
go Clemson Tigers all the way.
Are you cheering for Clemson next Friday?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Do
Go
you-
Tigers.
Do you think we'll cover the 7.5 point spread?
Oh, yes.
You think we'll?
Yeah.
Do you think then we'll beat Alabama?
Yes.
I do too. Like, I just think we got it.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Come on.
I think Trevor Lawrence right now. Well, and do you know Travis Etienne? And there's a lot behind like the pronunciation of that name. He's from Jennings.
Yeah.
So our running back is from Jennings, and like I hear people that are local from there that's like it's H-N. I'm like, it's easier if we just go E-T-N is what I think what they came down to. But I love having like Travis is just phenomenal and having that connection to South Louisiana. He's a good Jennings kid and a phenomenal running back. So
Yeah. Great athlete.
I think we've got Ohio State. We've got a long lock. Question though is more about Alabama.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be good. All right, you've nailed it. Let's turn this off.
So everybody saw that. He said that I nailed this.
Nailed it.
Yes.
Did your elbow hurt?
It is. That's a lot of work.
You didn't have to really stir it the whole time, but I'm glad you did. All right, we're just going to let it sit, and it's going to go to another. While this comes up to simmer, that's going to get a little bit darker sitting on the side. So then we'll do the next thing. All right.
So while that food simmers, can you tell me where we are right now?
This is the Mississippi River behind us, and this is an old river batcher. So there's a-
Batture, which is
Yeah.
a very uniquely like South Louisiana thing, right?
Well, it's typical of a river system, and it's where river sand builds up and it becomes like an island. So we have the Mississippi River levee system.
Right.
We're actually on the river side of the levee, which is unique. So you have the levee and the cities are protected from the river. We're actually in the river, and there are 12 homes that have been here for about 80 years. It's a real interesting concept.
It's one of the many things that I learned when I moved here. But like I came down here like right after Katrina, redheaded girl convinced me to move down here, and I've been learning about South Louisiana ever since then. But one of the first things that I did was find some Clemson people. So like I put out a call, found another Clemson guy, and founded a Clemson club down here. That would have been 15 some odd years ago. And he and I built it up from the two of us just hanging out, me and Ross Holiday, and we built it up to 100 plus people.
That's awesome.
Kind of running through all this stuff. And most recently, after I went off as president, I rolled in as a board member on the Alumni Association. And the Alumni Association has been phenomenal about, because you can imagine, there aren't, would you be surprised how many there are, that there aren't a ton of Clemson fans when you get this far out. So having some kind of tie back to your Clemson nation is really important to me. It's like the Alumni Association has been great for those of us who aren't, that close to Clemson, to have some kind of, to be an orange outpost for Clemson as we come down these kind of events and stuff. So it's fun.
Well, I think to have 100 people, and you've only been doing it for so long, New Orleans is a big, small town. We're not millions of people. So, we really are a small town, and number-wise. So, that's impressive. I have a lot of friends my generation who have kids that have gone to Clemson.
So how do people who, and you, this is something I've personally just wondered forever, how do people who live down here, how do they find Clemson?
I think there's always been a tie from New Orleans with the Carolinas, certainly the western part, because you had the train would leave New Orleans. New Orleans, more train tracks or whatever, home run here than any other city in America, and it was the port of New Orleans.
Right.
In the summers, going way back, when you wanted to get away from the summer heat and the summer tropical storms, like the Katrinas, you would take the train, and the place that New Orleanians would stop would be up in the Highlands in North Carolina,
right,
up in that area, South Carolina, North Carolina, to spend the summers to get away from the heat. So there's been a great collection. So a lot of kids grow up going to camp there, in the Carolinas, and have second homes, family homes in the mountains or on the beach, on the water. So there's a great connect there. So the kids that I know that have gone there, they're very familiar with the Carolinas, and they want to do a little more mountain biking than they would do at LSU.
Right. So when I moved down here, it was that this was a sportsman's paradise. So I brought my rock climbing gear and my mountain bike and my camping stuff, and realized that it's a fisherman's paradise, very much so. But not a ton of elevation.
We're not mountain biking. There is a mountain biking club, which is interesting.
Nice, very nice.
It's in the spillway.
So I have, you and I both spent a lot of time in those North Carolina, South Carolina mountains. And I think both appreciate kind of the elevation and the seasons that you get from that.
It's outdoor, if you enjoy the outdoors. It doesn't get, it's the activities, being out there. I used to love going up to North Carolina in the summer. The kids would be in camp. We'd go up and spend a couple of weeks. And I always said it recharged my battery.
There you go.
It's beautiful. You're outdoors. You're being active. So my memories, my connection. I'm getting ready to get on an airplane to go to Asheville.
There you go. That makes me happy. But I will say, the food, the music, and the people are my three anchors here in South Louisiana. I'm not leaving. And I am a South Carolina son, a native son. But the food, the music, the people here are just so dear to my heart. I can't imagine.
And I think that's very similar. The experiences I've had when I get to spend time in the Carolinas, South Carolina.
Well, you are always welcome in Clemson.
And we're getting ready to cook some rice.
Oh!
Because you have to have rice with gumbo.
Yeah.
And rice came to America
through Madagascar.
There you go.
And it had gone from Africa to Spain, but it was on a ship, and the ship was having some issues and had to pull into port somewhere in South Carolina. Might have been Charleston, not sure. And
Gotta be Charles.
they, when they finished the repairs, they paid with rice, which was their shipment.
Really?
And South Carolina was the rice producing state. And I guess it was during the Civil War that things got a little cray-cray. And it really kind of went to a halt for, not now, but it did back then. And that's when it came to Louisiana.
Gotcha.
And we appreciate y'all handing
Sending
off
the rice to
rice to us because we love, it's been a great industry like it is in South Carolina.
Right.
But you can't eat gumbo without rice, so thank y'all for taking care of that boat way back when,
There you go.
that we get to enjoy rice.
Any preferences on rice? Any rice?
You know, there's one for about 30 years I've been using. It's called popcorn rice.
Okay.
And that's what we're going to cook today. It was developed with LSU Ag, and a lot of time rice is neutral in flavor and aroma. This particular rice, and it's, you know, from the Abario family, it puts off this wonderful aroma, and when it smells like popcorn, and when you eat it, it tastes like popcorn.
Is there any rice that's not associated with LSU that we can tell our, I'm not, fine LSU rice?
I chose to not use the purple rice that we developed. I think I cooked last year for the championship game.
Did you
That
really?
was-
You
we
developed
had
a purple
special.
rice?
There is a Louisiana.
All right,
purple
Tiger
rice.
Nation, we're gonna eat an orange rice. Go,
Purple rice.
get on that. I would appreciate it.
We're gonna make this one orange.
Orange.
We got it.
Orange rice.
We can do that.
So y'all, this is the Mississippi River. So if you want to know what it is that keeps the tigers that are in this town here, it is this beautiful river, and these beautiful people. I can't tell you how much it warms my heart to be here with Dickie. And
Oh man.
It really
glad we
does.
spent the time. So
thank you so much.
enjoyed getting to know. You're a leader. You've
oh,
done some great
stop.
things in this town. No, you know, we got to know each other with Kingsley House, which is the second oldest settlement home in America. Which
Okay.
basically a settlement home today would be a community center. So, and it's the oldest continuous owned and continuous operated. And
In the South.
we got to know each other, serving time on that board, and you're a past chairman. And
You didn't have to bring that up.
proud
But
of
thank
you.
you.
Proud
That
of
means
you.
a lot to me.
Proud of you doing
yeah.
all that. You know, it's about giving back to your community, and you do a great job. Thank you.
Hey, you and I both believe in this community. We believe in these people. And we believe in this town. So yeah, but you know what ties it all back together? And I'm not being intentionally cheesy, but food.
You know,
Food is what draws us all home. So
I
before,
think a lot of stuff does, and a lot more can get accomplished when you sit down at a table and you share food with a group of people.
right?
You know, and I mean, I have my best interactions with people when we're doing that. And, you know, instead of running with the cell phones and all this stuff and multitasking and doing all this stuff we do, everybody should go find a nice restaurant, sit down, have a great lunch, and get a lot accomplished.
Or bring them together and make them cook.
There.
Make them do the
Always.
work.
Well, I'm trying to promote restaurants.
Gotcha. I like the idea of making people do the work.
Absolutely.
right.
Cooking's a great thing.
So, from a restaurant perspective, I understand like that it's been a hard hit with everything that's going on with COVID. I've been tracking it with everything that the mayor's done. Like right now, of your restaurants, I mean, what can we do? What can we do to help?
You know, I think a lot of restaurants, you can pick up food if you're not wanting to be out. The interesting thing is restaurants, you know, in some cities, they're trying to present them as being a hotbed. We're one of the safest environments, and if you look at the numbers, you know, we have 4 wonderful restaurants, hundreds of people that work with us. We have not had one incident of someone
Is that right?
being contagious, catching anything in any of our, even our staff. So,
It's phenomenal.
Well,
Knock on wood.
you know, and it's because we have safe practices. I mean, we're not a bar. I mean, we're spread out.
Right.
We have, you know, our wait staff has great practices. Some of our waiters are only dealing with bringing you food. The other ones are taking away dirty plates and drinks, not crossing. I mean, it's amazing the things we've done to try to really make it a safe environment. And we are. We're being very successful. Unfortunately, you know, if there's any up in occurrences or whatever, they just naturally think to shut down the restaurant, which makes no sense. So support restaurants. It's a safe environment. You know, we're on life support. You know, we need to get going. So hopefully the vaccine kicks in.
I love
Is
this.
that one of
y'all.
yours?
It's not. But y'all, that's a push boat. That's the Heartblood, Lifeblood, South Louisiana. That's what we're talking about. I love it.
We didn't have a big one come through.
So, Greg, are any of your products available online? Is there anything that people can order and
Yes.
have home?
You know, I think you go to any of our websites, Palace Cafe, Tableau, Dickie Brennan Steakhouse, Bourbon House, and then our new business we just started, and it's really my kids are doing it. My son, my daughter, my nephew, and my partner's son. So the next generation, and it's called the Commissary. And so they're cooking for the 4 restaurants, but we're also creating a retail outlet. So whatever we're cooking, they're sending to the restaurant. It's available for anybody to walk in and buy like you go into a grocery store.
There you go.
So, I mean, we source, you know, restaurants pride themselves on sourcing the best, freshest, you know, products. So we're making those wonderful products, and so much of it comes from regional farmers, fishermen, you know, I mean, we bring in great products. So we're making it available instead of having to come to the restaurant to have our products. You can grab it and take it home.
Nice.
So it's a new, you know, proud of them. They're working hard, and they've got a good gig going.
Just into the new world.
Yeah,
There you go.
totally.
I appreciate you.
Oh,
I appreciate all you do. I appreciate restaurants.
Likewise.
Appreciate the way you
Likewise.
take care of South Louisiana.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers! And I know you meant Clemson. Thank y'all.
All right, so this is simmering real nice.
How long's it been
Stock
simmering?
and everything, 30 minutes.
Okay.
And our roux is looking good. See that little layer of oil?
Yes, sir.
So before we do that, we're gonna pour that off. But not yet.
And we save that for something else.
Yeah, you never throw away your oil in that condition. So let's get some rice going. And like I said, thanks South Carolina for bringing rice into America.
That's right.
So, there's so many different ways to do rice. I always like putting a little onion. So I put a little oil in there. I'm gonna do my onion, and I'm gonna let that kind of caramelize a little bit.
So it's not just like boiling water and put a bag in?
No, man. And look, if you learning how to connect with the people that farm and fish and all that stuff in Louisiana. This is, I hadn't gone through my bag yet. This is the Bertrands. I mean,
That's perfect.
this is my Christmas present, and it's popcorn rice. David and Lorraine their families have been doing this forever. I mean, they are well respected Louisiana rice farmers. So we're doing the good stuff, using their rice tonight.
But it is
This is popcorn rice that
Okay.
was developed about 30 plus years ago, and it puts off this wonderful aroma, and it smells like popcorn cooking.
Gotcha.
and it tastes like that. So we're gonna try. It's not like you need it with a gumbo, but I like it. I mean, we use it for everything in the restaurant.
Just so y'all know, we're literally on the river, so what you're hearing right now is river boats blowing horns, which is what I love.
Just hope they stay in the river.
Right? Don't come up here on that.
So, you know, what I like to do is sweat this down a little bit, and then I want to toast the rice. So,
I'm gonna close the door.
all right. So, basically, I'm gonna get the oil incorporated with the onions, and then we're gonna let it sit a little, get real hot. And instead of using a stock or something, I want this rice to be as natural as it can be. So we're just gonna add water and let it kind of, see how we get all the oil
No
there.
idea. Like I've never cooked rice like this.
Well, we've cooked it like this in the restaurant for years, and it's just, you know, like I said, there's so many different ways you can cook rice. So
What do you have your oven? Just on medium heat?
it's on high. I mean, I want to get the onions caramelizing. I want that to toast this, so I want it hot. And then we're gonna add the liquid, and then it's just gonna be like cooking regular rice.
Huh.
Watch good. We can add it.
Look at me helping. Now?
Yeah.
All of it?
Mr. Root, come on. Yeah. So I've got 2 cups of rice, so this is 4 cups of water.
Okay.
All right. Give it a little stir. And we'll let it come up to a nice simmer. Then we'll cover it. And we'll start smelling that. Not yet, but we're gonna start smelling that popcorn.
So we're smelling it like this.
I mean, it's
I
gonna
want to
go.
bathe in that. It's just delicious.
Got some French bread. Whew. Some butter. All right, so let's let this guy go. Got to season. Salt.
Salt.
Let's do a little seasoning. You good?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's do your roux now. Let's
Okay.
get our roux going in here.
So we pour off the oil for
Let's
later.
pour some oil off into the little bowl.
Okay. Just
Got it? You see that? So instead of that like floating around in your soup,
I'm not opposed to it. I'm sure it's delicious.
yeah.
Or more.
We're good.
Okay.
All right, so now I'm gonna let you come
Yes,
this
by the way,
direction.
what would you use this for? Eggs,
Anything.
anything, right? Okay.
Sauteing vegetables. All right, you wanna pour this way, and I'm just gonna, as you give me some of that beautiful roux. Look at the color of that. See how it really goes to another level by letting it sit? So now, I'm gonna rest a second. I'm gonna make sure this is getting incorporated in here.
That smells delicious.
Yes.
What's the idea with any of these? These are flour based, so we want to go slow so it doesn't turn into dough balls.
Yeah, and it's hot, you know, it's, so I think this might be good. Let's, why don't you put
the
that
rest of
down,
this with
put
a
that
spoon?
down and rest, look how it's just, all of a sudden it
It's right
just
up.
became a
Oh, that looks
totally
delicious.
different. But I mean, the depth of the flavors in this, you know, it's not a 30-minute pulling it together. So, duck's getting tender, the goose is getting tender, okra's doing its thing. So
This smells fantastic. And with, like, we didn't add a bunch of crazy flavors. I mean, there wasn't a bunch of seasoning. it's just the
Well,
actual
we're gonna
ingredients?
do that, you know, at the end, we'll add some hot sauces.
Sure, but this is where it's at.
All right, I took your spoon.
What you think?
You need to try it, Chef. I mean, the base is there. So we're gonna add seasonings and the depth of it. It's looking real good. I'm gonna put a little more of this Creole seasoning. You know, and this is where, I mean, golly, you could sit around to the end of time debating what hot sauce, whatever. I'm in an awkward situation
Especially with your answer.
because one of my best friends is a McElhenney, Tabasco.
Gotcha.
And then my
I love
cousin,
Tabasco.
my first cousin, married Alabama, which is Crystal hot sauce.
Crystal.
So I mean, you know, I mean,
Right.
and they're both wonderful. One's a Tabasco pepper, and the other's a cayenne. So that, you know, I use it for different things. But you got to always. So I mean, I have them all ready to grab. But this sauce has been incredibly successful. When you think of hollandaise sauce, it's been around forever. In the original recipe, Tabasco.
Really?
You think
Wait,
of the person that created Escoffier when he created hollandaise sauce, used Tabasco.
Sure. Huh.
The Bloody Mary, original Bloody Mary, has Tabasco. It's amazing the things, you know, it's been around. It's been our hot sauce in Louisiana for so many generations. I mean, they really pioneered the hot sauce. But my nephew, Pepper Ball, when he was born, they called him Pepper.
Nice.
So he's Alvin Balmer, but whatever. People love Crystal hot sauce. I mean, love putting it on po' boys, different things. So I tend to use them both.
Right.
With the
My
gumbo,
mom's a
with the
big
gumbo,
Crystal
I
fan,
can
so.
I can use them both.
Yeah.
And they're totally different profiles. And I think we might need a little salt.
Salt.
You can-
That's what's missing? I can
Well,
change the
salt
whole
that
world
price.
if I can add a little salt.
Let me grab a couple tasting spoons. Let's taste it. So in the restaurant, we have little, tiny little spoons. Taste all day long, and you taste and throw it away.
Max,
Spoon.
come see. My good friend Max, NoLaVid,
Hello?
offered to help us out.
Oh man.
Lead out. You're local.
Wow.
Tell me what I'm seeing.
I'm trying to get a piece of sausage. There we go.
There you go.
Look at that. Oh man.
God,
Perfect.
good.
It's gonna be
Good
warm.
spoons,
It's gonna
right?
be warm. Let me give it a second. I'm gonna burn my mouth on camera.
So we're about 90%. We're gonna keep tasting and figure out what we.
You put a lid on that
Yes.
rice? You just let it boil down.
Yeah.
That's
So the
good.
depth's there. It's just missing
It's
a
just
little bit.
deep. Oh, it's good.
It's the salt or a
Oh
little bit.
yeah. It's got that wild flavor.
It's really good.
Oh yeah. That's good, man. Thank you. Delicious.
So what do you think?
I mean. Damn,
Kind of the best
damn-
gumbo you ever had in your life?
Damn roux. Damn roux's good.
Somebody, whoever made that, say it again, sir.
Roux.
Sir, it's the roux.
Oh,
I'm sorry, the roux that I stirred over. Too much. That's what made this.
It's perfect.
Would you serve this in one of your many restaurants?
Absolutely, I would serve it to my closest friends. All right, man. I think we had some gumbo to eat.
You ready?
So we've got the gumbo done, duck, goose, andouille sausage gumbo. We have some Louisiana popcorn rice. If you could put that in a bowl, is that, you capable of putting it in the bowl?
Yes,
I'm
I can't with this.
I'm gonna put some rice on top of it.
This looks
And
delicious.
then we'll,
It smells.
we've got some great New Orleans French bread from Leidenheimer Bakery, the oldest bakery in the city. And
Oh,
I think
I wish
see-
y'all could
oh,
smell this.
Lord.
It smells amazing. So here's what we'll say. Make this in advance, and the
Yeah.
day of,
Enjoy yourself, heat it
pot it up.
up.
Make your rice day
All
of.
right, so we're gonna let's do green onions. Got always garnish with little green onions for a proper gumbo. All right, that should take care of some hungry Tiger fans coming to town. Sorry you guys aren't here.
Right?
We love it when you do come. And I'd like to say, it's going to be a new year. And it's going to be a good one, right?
Yo, this looks amazing. Yes.
Well, you know, gumbo is not necessarily the prettiest thing in the world, but the depth of the flavors, it's going to make us happy.
How am I doing as a sous chef?
You nailed the roots. I mean, that's important.
Honestly, that might be my biggest highlights of my career.
That is important.
That time that Dickie Brennan said I nailed the root.
You nailed the roots.
I'm gonna put that on my resume. I can't thank you enough. From me and all of the Clemson family, like this means the world.
Well,
And
I mean this sincerely. You know that I love that you're where you come from.
yes,
And I think the greatest people in our city in New Orleans are the ones that choose to come here, not the ones that are born here. And you've been a great addition. I'm proud that you're my friend and that we get to hang out and do stuff, even though, you know.
Different Tigers. Different Tigers.
It's Tigers, man. It's all good.
Survey knows.
Yeah.
It's his. And
But
we're here.
But I hope it's a good
Ready.
a good year. There we go.
Ready?
Damn.
I know. We got a big flag.
We got to hang it.
Can I hang this in your house?
Hang it on the river.
If I can hang this on your house, I will hang this.
It's going off the balcony until y'all win the championship.
Done. That is done. And then when we win the championship, it stays forever.
For a couple months.
Perfect.
All right, man.
I appreciate you.
No, appreciate you too.
Go
This is
Tigers.
fun. This is
Dickie
fun.
Brennan, Max Cusimano.
Hey,
Thank
everybody.
y'all very much. This is going to be a big game.
Happy New Year.